Steven! Tony Romo didn't really want to go for two there, right, with the Patriots at the end of that game? He was just joking, right? He's not that dumb.
I tried not to listen to Tony Romo that game because his voice sounded awful. It was like Jeff Van Gundy in the finals.
Oh, a little COVID-y?
It sounded, I mean, it wasn't as bad as Jeff Van Gundy. It wasn't nearly as bad as Jeff Van Gundy's was. That was like, that's top tier level sickness. But Tony Romo, his voice was a little off in that one.
You think he was getting after it the night before in Vegas?
Of course he was. Come on, man. This is Tony. He was on the golf course all day.
Probably.
But yeah, right in front of the Sphere. Have you seen that thing in the Vegas golf course with the Sphere? Like that's right in front of the fairway. Obviously, you've seen the Sphere, right?
Yes, you introduced me to the Sphere.
Yes. Well, there's a fairway with the Sphere that's like right at the end of it, and the Sphere has a face, and it makes a certain reaction whenever you hit your golf shot. So you have just this. You think you're in you think you're in like this peaceful, quiet. You think you're in your element. You think you're in nature. You just got this big ass Sphere staring you down as you're hitting a golf shot, then making a face, whether it's bad or good.
So why would you want to golf with that, though?
I wouldn't want to golf with that dome.
Yeah, throw your game off. Like if it was Charles Barkley golfing, it'd be like the whole time.
Some people do. Some people enjoy it.
I wouldn't be about that. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. I'm still trying to figure out if Tony Romo was actually being serious or he was just trying to do his terrible brand of comedy he's doing lately on these broadcasts. I honestly miss the days. I know we said this before, but I miss the days where he would predict a play before it happens. That's much better than, oh, I don't know, Jim. I know my Tony Romo sounds like Chris Collinsworth. I don't know, Jim. Should they go for two here? Because then if you score, then you can tie it up with a touchdown. And then I just love Jim Nantz at the end, just being like, no, this is a smart play. Just kick the PAT. Yeah, you're probably right.
I remember when I think Nantz and Romo's first game was a Raider game.
It was Titans and Raiders, Week 1, 2017.
Okay, easy there, Rain Man. But he
definitely 2017.
But yeah, that's one thing we do know.
It was on before Wapner.
And Week 1 is kind of a given because it's the first game of the season. So yeah, I mean, I guess those two are obvious. But I remember when Marshawn was in the backfield and Romo saw the kill, run to the left. Then it was just a run to the left.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes just keep it simple, Tony. You don't have to do, hijinks.
So what? He suggested go for two when they scored that touchdown in the fourth.
Did you not hear it?
I did not.
Okay, so Ramondre Stevenson scores a touchdown, 19-16. Tony's rationale was if the Raiders score again, you're only down by 8, so then you could still tie the game up. But the reality is you're only down by 2. If you don't get the extra point, then you're down by 3. Or if you don't get the 2-point conversion, then you're down by 3, and then you can only tie the game. Give yourself a chance to win the game, Tony. This is insane.
It shouldn't have been that close.
Well, thank God for the Max Crosby safety. We'll get all to that, and we'll get to the Niners' first loss of the season. Kind of surprising. You and I did not see that coming, but I did kind of leave it open for P.J. Walker to make a few plays here or there. Wasn't P.J. Walker. It was the Browns' defense. And we'll get to that game. We'll get to all the games that happened in Week 6. But before we do that, and Steven, finally, I think we're even up on the series we're even up on the season through 6 weeks. 3-3. 3 wins, 3 losses. It's your turn this week for the hot sauce.
Gotcha. Yep. I got the triple X in waiting.
There you go. Had to flex a little bit on the show today. Tom and Copes were talking about Pepper X being the new hottest pepper in the world. And I was like, I could do it. And they're like, no, you can't. And I was like, you guys don't know. I do this shit routinely every week. So that's in my future.
Yeah, but you're not eating a straight pepper.
No, I'm scared to do the... You've seen the Chili Klaus thing, right? With where he's like, with Sean Evans on Hot Ones, where they did... What was that? The Carolina Reaper?
Yeah, but they also just tried the Pepper X too, like in a video a couple of days ago.
Did they really?
Yeah, they released the video, and I'm kind of mad that I know about it. I pay attention too much to that stuff. It's right on my algorithm. As soon as I open up YouTube, they have Hot Ones right there. They know me.
No, same thing. They brought up Pucker Butt, and I was like, that's a famous company. I know all about that.
You would know about Pucker Butt.
No, believe me, I experienced it the next day. But yeah, I'm game for anything, Steven. Tom even said he tried the Smoke Eaters Challenge in San Jose, which I've
Oh,
always wanted to do, but I think Smoke Eaters closed. I may be wrong, but Alexander Scott told me that Smoke Eaters did close. He may be giving me
huh.
wrong information.
Oh, that's sad. I didn't know that.
I think the challenge is you have to eat the 6 wings, whatever the 6 Hellfire wings, and then let it sit on your face and hands for a good solid 5 minutes. You're not
Adam Richmond did it.
yeah,
versus
man versus food. And you're not allowed water, you're not allowed milk. You just have to let it sit on your face. And I think that's the one where they fucked him up, where they gave him extract. Like they dumped a little extra on, or like the whole bottle of whatever they were given, like the stuff that they used to. It was like chili powder, like shit they used to weaponize for like elephants, so they don't like eat like too much fruits.
Mm.
And he got fucked up. Like his whole tongue went numb, his face went numb. So yeah, I'm willing to try that.
The Hellfire Challenge.
Yeah, is this it? Is this the one I'm thinking about?
This is it. This is on their website. The Hellfire Challenge. 10 minutes to chow down 12 wings smothered with our hottest Hellfire sauce. That's hard in itself. Like eating wings wings, you got to be meticulous with it. Right? You can't just like you don't want to just down wings. You want to appreciate the wings. You got to take it off. You got to peel off the bone, make sure you get all the meat. 12 wings in 10 minutes is tough, but then no drinks, no napkins. You got to lick your fingers clean. That's
kind of
killer.
gross.
That's the killer right there.
Yeah. Nah. I'm willing to try it though. So it's still around, huh?
They do have, I mean, they had a couple of locations.
Okay.
So
Then yeah, hey, Ernie's and Skills and AJ Cruz. This is where we'll have our JYOM summit at the old Smoke Eaters in San Jose.
Ernie says, I feel so numb. Shout out to Lincoln Park. I've become so numb eating these hot wings.
By the way, everyone is catching on to this Creed craze. Rangers, now Kirk Cousins, him and Coop, bonfires after the game, singing a couple of My Sacrifices.
Welcomes him to the bonfire with arms wide open, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the only 2 songs I know of Creed.
Higher
and With Arms Wide Open. That's it.
Yeah. Try to think of more.
I know they have an album with a guy who looks like he's trying to escape quicksand, and I know they have a song called With Arms Wide Open.
They have a song. I don't even know if I want to admit this. I used to own 3 Creed albums. There's one called My Own Prison, I want to say.
Ooh.
The artwork on all these albums are terrible, by the way.
Yeah. We need to bring back that crappy artwork, though. It's needed
for album covers.
Yeah, for album covers. We don't talk about album covers anymore. How about the one I never used to own these albums? It was always my brothers. I'm not going to act like it was me that owned these, but like we used to have Limp Bizkit, the chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water.
That was a creepy one. Just
a bunch of aliens lying on hot dogs. I didn't understand what that was. I was like 6 years old when that came out, and I'm listening to the song Hot Dog, where there's 46
we got the hot dog flavored water and the chocolate starfish.
Yeah. Ugh. God, bring back Limp Bizkit, man. Bring back those times when they're at Woodstock 99. They're like, how many of y'all hate NSYNC?
No. What about when they called out Creed?
When did he do that?
Maybe that wasn't at Woodstock, because I think I brought this up before on the podcast, but it may have been a different venue because we both seen the Woodstock 99 doc on Netflix. But there was definitely one where Limp Bizkit showed up late to a set, and Scott Stapp, the lead singer of Creed, I guess was very upset, and then Limp Bizkit came out to break stuff, and he was like, "Y'all like Creed? This was for the lead singer of Creed. That guy's a fucking egomaniac. And this sucks for him."
Yeah. And he's like, give me something to break.
Yeah.
How about Scott Stapp's face?
By the way, people say all the time, I was not aware of this, the best halftime performance of all time is apparently Creed at the like 2000, 2001 Cowboys game for Thanksgiving when there's like people doing, Circus Olay shit and just a bunch of stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, there's a gymnast. It's much like Pink, except it's not the actual Pink doing the flying.
Get the party started?
She does all that gymnast stuff,
Does she really?
With the, I don't know what you call it.
I haven't been on my Pink in a long time.
With the high flying acrobatics and all of that. But yeah, I always show that to my British family. They send them that pretty much every July 4th. I'm like, happy birthday, America. Then I send that to the family on WhatsApp and just send them the video of Creed at the Dallas Cowboys halftime show. Can you take me higher?
Yeah, people hate, but it's good songs.
Yeah.
Or maybe we just do it out of irony.
Well, it's contributing right now to the Vikings and them actually coming away with the win. The Rangers right now leading 2-0.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Rangers won 90 games. Phillies won 90 games. Both the top wildcard seeds. Who has home field advantage in the World Series?
Well, it depends, right?
There's no more All-Star game thing. This is
Hmm.
straight up who has the better record. So how do they decide this?
It's a good question. I wish I could answer it.
I guess we'll find out if those two teams play.
Yeah, I never even thought about that.
Well, I saw today. I was like, both have 90 wins. Both were the top wildcard seeds, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right about that?
Did they play each other in the regular season at all? Is there a tiebreaker there?
Do you play every team now? No, you don't. No, you don't.
I don't know. The Rangers had the better home record this year and a better run differential. Maybe they'll run it off run differential.
That's lame.
I don't know.
How about as a good old coin toss?
Yeah. How about, you know what? How about this? How about the top seeds in the actual leagues make it past the first round? How about that?
Well, do you like this playoff format? Because I think it's going to be a lot more of that going forward.
Nah, I'm fine with it.
All right, then.
It is what it is. Control what we can control, Derek. Yes. That's what we've talked about on this podcast, and we tend to get mad about things we still can't control anyway. But the format can't control it. It is what it is.
Yeah, pretty much all of sports radio is being mad about things you can't control.
Ooh, skills. Excuse me. Rob Thompson and Bruce Bochy should arm wrestle. I am all in. A boxing match? It'd be better than that crap we got with Logan.
How about a headbutting competition? What's that?
How about a what?
A headbutting competition. Because Bruce Bochy would win that.
Oh, Bruce Bochy would win that 10 times out of 10.
He'd probably kill him.
Yeah.
With his noggin going on?
He would kill him and then also send shockwaves throughout whichever city they do that in. Yeah, and there are going to be buildings that would be ruined.
Yeah. Tectonic, like, shock. Anyway. All right. Should we get to some football?
Should we? Yeah, we should.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Steven, Raiders win 21-17.
Yep.
You could say that they beat another anemic offense in the New England Patriots. God knows they've had trouble scoring. But would you say the Raiders are a defensive-oriented team now?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go so far as to say that right now. Actually, what watching this game kind of made me realize is, since you're going up against a defense like the Patriots have, where, all they got are a bunch of guys who used to be good with Jalen Mills and J.C. Jackson, but are kind of on the back ends of their careers. I think J.C. Jackson was playing in this game.
He was covering Devontae for most of the game.
But to me, I think this showed that the Raiders can actually be versatile on offense. We haven't seen a lot of that this year. Like we saw it early with Michael Mayer, him getting 4 receptions in the first possession, I think, or at least the first 2 possessions. Austin Hooper was making plays. Trey Tucker with that deep ball where he beat a cornerback and Jonathan Jones, who runs a 4.3 40. I actually had to look that up. I just straight typed Jonathan Jones, Patriots in 40 time. Apparently he was one of the fastest coming out of the draft in 2016. He had like a 4.28 unofficial time, which is unreal. And Trey Tucker just gassed him, straight gassed him on a go route. And then Josh Jacobs is Josh Jacobs. And you got Devontae. Jacoby Myers seems to understand McDaniel's system and knows how to get open. So I think the defense has looked good the past couple of games, but I think that's more a product of going against I like how you're using the word anemic. You're big on the word anemic with the past 2 games with the Packers and Patriots.
Well, how else would you describe these offenses?
I don't know. It's a good word by you.
Yeah.
But
you're just surprised I have a big vocabulary when it comes to that.
You're using all the words and stuff. But I just think that the offense kind of showed they actually have some versatility. It's just about executing, and they didn't really do that in the red zone. I thought the score should have been a lot higher than it was. I don't think it should have been close at all. The defense had to bail them out. I don't think the defense should have been in a position to bail them out. They had their issues. Obviously, Jimmy G got hurt, but I think that overall, the offense kind of showed, they can be dynamic in certain areas, and the defense, I think they proved that their defensive line can feast on an offensive line if that offensive line is subpar.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go there yet as far as being a defensive-oriented team. I think that they're the stronger unit as far as offense or defense. But, yeah, I like to see them, like we won't know this week either because they'll play the Bears with Agent Bajent for filling in. Man. Yeah, for old Justin Fields filling in. We have to be patient with Bajent or Bajent, whatever his name is. As far as this game, I mean the offense. Josh Jacobs I think had his best rushing performance so far this season with 77 yards. Still like to see Davante Adams get more catches, but it is what it is.
God, he got rocked.
He did, and I texted you during the game. I was like, "Do you think that's on Jimmy or just a bad situation?" But yeah, Jimmy's put Davante in bad situations so far this season. He's getting rocked, like he's gotten concussed a couple times now.
Yeah, I think it's not just Jimmy though. I think that's just the Josh McDaniels offense where it's the Tom Brady thing. That's why Julian Edelman is one of the toughest, I think, underrated, most tough receivers that we've ever seen because all they do would run these in cuts over the middle of the field, which just leaves you wide open to get just knocked on your ass. And Edelman did time after time. And I don't know, Brady would always find like that sliver of just space and somehow fit the ball in there and get it to him. And Edelman would still get rocked. It's the same thing with Adams. You're just seeing it with a number 1 receiver who really should not be running a number 2 route every single play.
Speaking of Edelman, Kyle Shanahan caught him with his sliver route. You hear that story?
What?
He told a story on Fox pregame show where they asked him, who's the best coach in football right now? And he goes, Kyle Shanahan, hands down. Because I met him a few years ago. I didn't even know who he was. I tore my ACL. I was at the Super Bowl. And Kyle comes up to me at the bathroom. And, I got my thing out. And there comes Kyle. And he's asking me about, whip routes. And I'm like, dude, who the hell are you? He's like, I'm Kyle Shanahan, coach of the Niners. He's like, oh, my bad, dude. You just, you talk about whip routes when my thing's out. It's kind of awkward. That's
Edelnut talking about wing routes?
Yeah.
Or whip routes?
Whip routes with his thing out, yeah.
Oh, God. Well, I'm not going to say anything. I've just – football's full of those innuendos that you could think of just all over the field. So I'm not going to go any further into this conversation. But,
Fair enough.
Nah, dude. Adams is going to get hurt. Like if it continues in this way, unless they put Aiden O'Connell in, because I think O'Connell's actually shown a capability of throwing outside the numbers.
Well, who would you start? It sounds like Jimmy can't go. It sounds like he did do a number to his back. So Brian Hoyer actually was. I was very impressed with Brian Hoyer. I liked him on the deep ball. I would have liked to see him lofted up a little bit better for Davante Adams in the end zone there, but he got the job done. And I think that they went with Brian Hoyer because of his familiarity with the New England Patriots defense. So in that situation, it was better to go with the veteran. But for a full game, you think they're going to lean towards going to Aiden O'Connell again or going Brian Hoyer?
I think they're going to lean towards Aiden O'Connell. I think they want to see what they have. I mean, Garoppolo, I go back and forth on this. I was thinking about it on the way in. Like, if you gave me the chance to say whether I want Garoppolo or O'Connell, well, after all those red zone opportunities opportunities that the Raiders missed on. Geez, I'm choking up here. After all those red zone opportunities, I'm thinking, man, if they can get into the red zone, I'd rather have Jimmy under center in the red zone because he's actually pretty good in those situations. Whereas Brian Hoyer, clearly not. They had Brian Hoyer actually throwing deep. They opened it up a little bit for him. Gave the wide receivers some chances to beat the cornerbacks one-on-one. You don't really see that as much with Jimmy. Obvious.
No.
I mean, that's an obvious statement. Everyone listening to this knows that because they've watched it for the past 5 years with the 49ers. But if it comes down to Brian Hoyer or AOC, the real AOC, please stand up. I'd go with Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Aiden O'Connell too, and I would like to see him kind of fling it a little around, show his deep ball accuracy if he has it, or his arm strength.
Yeah.
Because God knows Devontae's ready to bust out, not like bust out like Julian Edelman and Kyle Shanahan, but bust out in a game here. As far as the game, Max Crosby, very impressive to close it out like that. And I know I always say that he's no Khalil Mack. Let me just say this. Khalil Mack, I believe, is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Now, has he performed to the height of what his talent should be? No. Like there, you see it, the 6 sacks games. You see him have the 5-sack game when he was with the Raiders. But there's routinely times where he does disappear. But when he makes a play, it's like, good God, this guy could lift up Buck's offensive lineman with just one hand, one bicep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I am amazed by him. Max Crosby is consistently a great pass rusher and a great run defender.
Mhm.
And I think he's the best and most consistent Raider pass rusher. Khalil Mack was great, but as far as consistency, damn, he may be the best since Greg Townsend or maybe even Derek Burgess to go back a little bit. But
I'd say Derek Burgess is
yeah,
appropriate comp because that was just Burgess's specialty. But I think Crosby deserves Defensive Player of the Year consideration. But that's also because he's playing on this Raiders team, and the Raiders aren't very good. And I think personally, he's kind of saved them the past few games. I think he's just been unreal on the line. He's just been wrecking games. I mean, it wasn't just the safety. He had a huge run stuff earlier in the game. Like he's just constantly beating his guys and keeping double teams on him, letting single coverage or letting one blocker on one-on-one and on the line in the trenches. Good God, I mumbled my way through that. But in the end, he's absolutely everything with the defensive line. And he's one of those guys where you take that to the fourth quarter, you're just not going to stop him. That's where he's going to do most of his damage. He is going to change games in the fourth quarter this year. And I think that these past 2 wins, I mean, you could attribute that the Packers won a little bit just to the fact that the Packers looked totally out of sync. But I think Max Crosby had a huge role in that. I think he absolutely deserves Defensive Player of the Year consideration right now.
All right. And it was good to see Michael Mayer get a part of the offense a little bit. His best performance yet as a pro. Sam Laporta, I think, fits the Lions a lot better, and Michael Mayer fits what the Raiders want to do. But it was good to see him get some action finally. 5 catches for 75 yards. He, for a guy that's labeled as Baby Gronk, it was good to see him have his first showing of what he could do against the New England Patriots. But yeah, Steven, I still don't know about this team. Yes, they've won 2 in a row. They're 3-3, a hell of a lot better than they were a year ago. But offensively, I still don't know because when Jimmy comes back and this is the deal with him with injuries. I guess he had to go to the hospital after the game. It's not that severe. He'll miss this game probably, but probably come back for who they play after this game. Detroit.
After the Bears, you mean?
Yeah, after the Bears.
Yeah, it's in Chicago. In Chicago, then it's going to be the Bears on Monday Night Football.
Oh, the Lions, you mean?
Yeah, excuse me.
So they may stay over then in the Midwest. You would think. But yeah, dude, I don't like Josh Jacobs. Like to see him look like the Josh Jacobs from a year ago, but obviously he didn't do much of training camp. I I will say the stuff you sent me today, his pass blocking
Oh
sets him apart from Amir Abdullah.
God,
No question.
God, man, it's just if you want, it's just funny when you have those plays side by side. Like, if you want to know, like, you can look at a singular play and see what someone posts, on Twitter, on social media, whatever. You can watch like a Baldy's breakdown, and you could say, like, well, there are a lot of other players who could do that same thing. And it seems that way with Josh Jacobs. And the one run block you're talking about, there was a blitz that he totally picked up and just knocked the cornerback or linebacker on his ass. But
I think Jawan Bentley got lit up.
But then side by side, you see Amir Abdullah not pick up the blitz, gets to it delayed, then just taps him on the shoulder, then it ends up in a sack. So the dude's irreplaceable. But to me, I don't know if Jacobs is going to be the same rusher because the run blocking isn't nearly as good as I thought it would be. They had a couple of key moments in that game. They actually had some nice plays, but overall, it felt like the Patriots' defensive line was cracking him really at the line of scrimmage, and he was trying to get all his yards after contact.
Yeah, I mean, they could ice the game with a 3rd and 1. They got stuffed. I want to say it was a 3rd and 1, but
yeah, and that was like it was a run to the right. I just use your best players, man. Like, if you have Colton Miller on the left side is the strong side of not technically the strong side, but it's the strong side of the line. Run to the left if you're going to try and pick up a yard. Don't run to the right where you got Jermaine Illuminor and Dylan Parham. Like, that's not going to work. Or, excuse me, Greg Van Roten. That's the other one. Greg Van Roten, who has not been very good.
Yeah, but I'll say that, I mean, yes, it's getting better game by game as far as rushing. But you see Davante Adams, and I know, like, this is the thing we experienced when Randy Moss was a Raider. You just see the stat line. It's like 2 catches for, 25 yards for Davante Adams? Yeah, 2 catches for 29 yards.
Yeah, but I'll say this. I'm sorry, I'm mumbling, but this is even worse than Randy Moss because Randy Moss just gave up on the team, and his lack of targets was because he didn't care. Like, Davante Adams has been a pro's pro through everything, through getting rid of his college teammate, and you're rewarding him this way?
It's tough. It's tough because he's a great talent, and they've won the last 2 weeks, but he has not been really included in the offense. And I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be. You do wonder sometimes, and you hate to lose a talent like this, but you do wonder if Davante Adams should be on a different team. Like, it seems that Jacoby Myers is more of a red zone threat than him at this point. This doesn't really fit his skill set. It does. He could definitely, there's a game a couple weeks ago, I guess against the Steelers where he got a ton of catches, but I don't know. It just feels like we're kind of wasting him. It's a weird situation because obviously he was thinking he was going to Super Bowl contender, and you read the stuff that apparently Dan Orlovsky was talking about where the Raiders wanted to trade for C.J. Stroud. If that would have got pulled off, that would have been very interesting. But you wonder if guys like Max Crosby or Josh Jacobs are still on the Raiders if they pull that move off. Right. I don't know, but it's interesting. Interesting the way the team's constructed right now. They're playing well, but I don't know how long it's going to last. If I'm being completely honest,
this is not what you want. In terms of, let's just say you have a football, or actually a non-football fan. Let's just say they're watching a game with you for the first time. Let's just say they're watching this season for the first time and had no idea, no knowledge, no prior knowledge of the teams, how they were built, these players. Like, if you had someone watching the Raiders through the first 6 games of this season, it was their first time ever watching football.
A new booty.
Yeah, new booty.
New booty.
You'd think that Davante Adams is like a third down specialist and Jacoby Myers is the number 1 receiver on the team. Yeah. Like, that's how they look at it, and that's sad. Like, say with the 49ers, you'd probably look at Christian McCaffrey, you're like, damn, this dude, he's the best player they got. Deebo Samuel and Ayuk, they kind of just, it's based on matchups. It's like an either or situation. But like with the Raiders, you're like, yeah, Jacoby Myers, that's the number 1 guy. Davante Adams, I don't know. He's more than number 2. They just go to him when they need to.
But maybe it's because the favorable matchup is with Jacoby Myers because everyone's having attention towards Davante Adams. But then again, this sounds reminiscent of when it was Randy Moss and Jerry Porter. Jerry Porter got way more catches and way more touchdowns. You're like, do we know how to incorporate a good wide receiver? That's the part that kind of frustrates me. is that you have this talent on your team, and it's like, oh, well, there's so many coverages going his way. And yes, I'm not stupid. Like, I'm not the guy on the James Franklin calls, like, just chunk it deep every play. There are X's and O's to this, and that's why there's favorable matchups, and that's why Jacoby Myers is getting more catches and touchdowns. But it also feels like the Raiders, for whatever reason, don't have the ability to, or the coaching, or the quarterbacks to make Devontae Adams the great player that he is.
Exactly. And they had a couple of plays where they tried to get it to him, and Hoyer just didn't make a good throw at all. They tried getting it to him in the red zone, or in the end zone. But to your point, even if he's covered the way that he is, even if defenses are running back bracket coverage on him, well, the reason you traded so much and the reason that you're paying him so much is because he's one of those wide receivers where it doesn't matter what kind of coverage they're running on him. He will get open some way or somehow.
Did you say that at The Rock?
Huh?
It doesn't matter what kind of coverage they're running on him.
I guess I did say that in a little rock tone. My bad.
No, you're fine.
When they finally get the ball to Adams, I'm going to be like, finally.
But no, I mean, like, they're winning, so you can't complain too much. But yeah, it's just kind of a weird deal. But maybe it's because Devontae is so used to playing with a great talent that maybe it just needs to be precise. And Jacoby Myers is used to playing with Mac Jones. Case in point, that pick, that Trayvon Merrick caught, good Lord. Tony Romo was great on that call where he was like, this is a horrendous throw. Because it was. It was awful.
Yeah.
And maybe I am kind of leaning in your direction, Stephen, when you asked, is Mac Jones the worst starting quarterback of football? He might be. He might be.
God. That was the one rolling out to his right? That was
and he missed him by a mile.
And he had him like wide open.
He had him wide open, and he threw it right to Trayvon Merrick, and it wasn't even close.
He had a couple of those in this game. Like, he's just inept, man, and he's rattled. I don't think he's clearly thinking way too much out there, not seeing what he's supposed to be seeing. Whew.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. All right. Want to get the hot sauce up?
Oh, God. All right, fine. Okay.
All right, I'll start us off here with the Niners.
All right. Yep.
If Deshaun Watson was going to play in this game, I would have taken the Browns to win. I thought it was just kind of a trap game. I thought it was an easy setup because they're coming off the high of the Dallas Cowboy game. Brock Purdy's looked amazing pretty much so far in his career. And Jim Schwartz is no joke as a defensive coordinator. The Browns, I think, are no joke. The defense that they have, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Denzel Ward. I thought this was a trap game, and then PJ Walker's going to start. And I was like, I don't feel confident about that. But when the game started rolling, McCaffrey scores on the first opening drive. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a long day for the Browns. Fred Warner gets the pick, and then just things kind of shifted after that. I don't know if it was more of the injuries or the weather, but it was weird. So obviously Deebo Samuel gets hurt on the first play from scrimmage, has a shoulder injury. He's day-to-day. We'll see what happens with that. Christian McCaffrey, I think, was the huge injury. Has the oblique/rib, and there's an MRI on that. We'll see what the severity is, but it sounds as if all three guys, and Trent Williams also hurt himself, but he came back in the game. Sounds like all three guys should be able to go on Monday because of the extra day, but we'll see. Nothing for certain right now, and I think that threw off Brock Purdy. I think it's no question. He had his worst game as a pro. He looked, the ball was wet. It didn't grip his hand very well. First time not playing in California since week 1, and he had no weather adversity with facing the Steelers. And the Browns are a good team. They, when McCaffrey got out, Purdy kind of didn't know where to go or have the, teams were the Browns were zeroing in on Ayuk, kind of took Kittle away, so he was uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And the Browns, offensive line's pretty good, even without Joe Bitonio.
Joel Bitonio.
Yeah. Ran well with Kareem Hunt. Yeah, I'm not surprised, honestly. Like I was the shift with. I mean, it made sense with the injuries and the weather and Purdy. It made sense. Now they still could have won that game. Brock Purdy had a nice drive at the very end, and it would have been like, all right, well, shit, that was close, but we got the W and we won. But Jake Moody missed 2 field goals, and that's going to happen. He's had, you know, easy kicks, not easy kicks, but no weather adversity, as I said with Brock Purdy. Um, yeah, eventually you're going to have those hard moments with a rookie kicker, and I think it's good to get out of his system now. Same thing with Brock. I think this was good for him, and
Yep.
I know like a lot of older Niner guys came on this week, Brent Jones, Dante Whitner, all saying it's never good to lose. I disagree. I think this was actually a good moment for them to realize what's wrong with them, where they're short at, where Brock needs to improve on. Should he wear gloves going forward if he's going to be in a situation like that? How does he improve if Kyle can't, for lack of a better phrase, hold his hand and McCaffrey
Right.
can't help him out and Debo? I think it was a good maturity moment for the 49ers.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. But first off, I got the hot sauce. I got a little rotisserie chick. But I put the last dab on there. Can you see that?
That's pretty good glob on that chicken.
It's a solid that's a solid glob of the
glob of goo.
Is this with you were talking about the Pepper X. Which is this? Yes. So this one has 3 distinct strains of the guy who made Pepper X, Smokin' Ed Curry.
Oh yeah.
Pepper X, chocolate Pepper X, and peach Pepper X. That's what is in this. So
in the Apollo?
In the triple X. That's why they call it the triple X.
Oh, my bad. I have the Apollo.
Yep. All right. Okay. So we're gonna do this, and I like this. This is what we do. I'm in on the fact that we're doing the punishment, but we need to do it where if we eat the hot sauce, then we immediately have to break down whatever game. The hot sauce breakdown, Derek. I like it.
All right. Let's hear it.
All right. Oh,
Steven's going to break down the Niner game as soon as he's done eating the triple X wing.
I got it right on my tongue.
Golf announcer style.
I went right. You gotta go. I go right on the tongue. Right on the tongue, man. Okay. So
Steven's struggling.
There's a lot that can be true with the 49ers. No loss to the Browns, 1917. All right. So we'll start with Brock Purdy. Has not lost a game in the regular season. Most adversity he's ever fought.
Swallow it, goddammit. Come on.
I've swallowed it. My tongue is numb.
Okay.
I can't feel it. So Brock Purdy, yes, this was his worst game. And even before Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel got hurt and had to leave.
Nice recovery, though. Eh?
Had to leave, even though they had to leave. I think there's a lot of factors at play. Okay. First off, Brock Purdy did not have control of the football. Like you saw it slipping out of his hands. He wasn't dealing with the weather the way that he should have. And this was happening early on. And I think for me, he's a damn good quarterback. One of the top in the NFL. He's right up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Kyle Shanahan put a lot of pressure on him towards the end of the game to try and save it just by throwing the football when he clearly didn't have it. Like, I thought they should have ran the ball a little more in certain situations. I thought Jordan Mason could not replace Christian McCaffrey because no one could replace him. No one could replace Christian McCaffrey. Okay. But Jordan Mason's serviceable enough.
Yeah.
Serviceable. Jordan Mason is serviceable enough to where he could take over and, at least run the clock down. I thought, God, what was it? Where was what's the thing I want to talk about? Where was the play? It was there was this one. It was when the Niners were up 17-60. Okay. You had Brock Purdy, the intentional grounding. Brock Purdy passes to Ayuk for 10. Then it's 3rd and 11. Brock Purdy, incomplete pass. Like, from there, I think you got to run it on first down. Trust in your run game to try and run the clock out a little bit because you still had the lead at that point. Brock Purdy didn't look good. I'm not going to make any determining like conviction with whatever he is in his career. He just had a bad game.
Yeah.
But I think everyone on the Niners had a bad game. Like
Yep.
you go across the board, besides, I don't know, Fred Warner, who made an awesome play in the first quarter. Name me one player who had a good game on the Niners. Name one. Besides him.
Yeah, I mean the secondary had its struggles, and Kyle called out the defensive line for not playing against the run very well.
Actually, you know what? I thought, can I just say this too? With Randy Gregory,
say as much as you like, sir.
We said that the Niners are just they went after they traded for Gregory. They traded for Gregory because he was available.
Yeah.
They did that because it was on a, moribund Broncos team. That's a word to put in your Rolodex. A moribund Broncos team.
Are you even pronouncing that right? I can't even tell with your tongue right now.
Moribund.
Moribund?
Moribund.
Borophyll? Chlorophyll?
Moribund Broncos team. Anyway, they traded for Gregory because I don't think Drake Jackson is living up to what they want opposite Nick Bosa.
Yeah,
Cleveland Ferrell's been okay.
He might be in the doghouse.
Dude, I like he had that game in the first week, but have you heard Drake Jackson's name much, if at all?
No. I think he's getting the Brandon Ayuk 2021 treatment right now.
I think there's a reason for that. Okay, now I'm starting to calm down. But I also think this was a product of them missing Dre Greenlaw. Them not being able to adjust on the fly without Samuel and McCaffrey. We always think like, oh, they have this embarrassment of riches. If one goes out, then they'll just go to another player. Like, no, that's not how it works. You need every cog in this machine to be turning in order for this offense to run the way that it does. And you saw it instantly with Ray McCloud. It's like this dude's motioning across the backfield, not knowing where he's supposed to be, not knowing where to line up, trying to be in Debo's position. I think we might have underrated Debo in that sense. I mean, you got CJ Gardner-Johnson calling him a running back only.
He's just a running back, bro.
Just a running back. And then what was the other thing? Oh, and then the penalties. The penalties. Yeah. It just all came crashing down, man. And the refs did not give them any favorable calls. I thought it was a fumble. I thought it was a fumble on PJ Walker.
Yeah, let's get to that real quick. Yes. Before the half, that was clearly a fumble. And you could have reviewed that. You could have reviewed that. There was a clear recovery as well. I thought they really botched that. It was not a forward pass. It was. It just
felt like it felt like
hand.
Exactly, and like the way that he was.
Damn it!
I was hoping you'd disagree with me on this.
No. I'm now. I thought they saved their ass by calling it intentional grounding, because at least they called that. But yeah, I can't justify that not being a fumble.
It's like the tackle is what made his arm go forward.
Yeah.
It wasn't Walker trying to. This remarkable feat of holding. I mean, the fact that he even held on to the ball a little bit after the hit, pretty insane. But there's that. The roughing call on Deshaun Gibson was awful. The what was it? Unnecessary roughness for hitting a defenseless receiver.
Yeah, I don't listen. I know that there's things like that in football where you don't want helmet-to-helmet stuff, like we saw Kyle Hamilton get ejected from the Ravens and Titans game. That was necessary. I don't really agree with the whole mentality of hitting a defenseless receiver. That, to me, like, I've never been a fan of that being a penalty. In that situation, too, guy has the ball in his hands, and he dropped it, and then Deshaun Gibson's making a play. And then the defensive holding call on Travarius Ward as well.
There's that.
Lot of questionable calls. But in the end, did the Niners play their best football? No. Did they deserve to win? No. They would have got away with stealing in this game, in my opinion. The Browns were the better team. Did they have the better quarterback? No. PJ Walker looked really pretty bad. But he made plays here or there. Amari Cooper, like he did against Travarius Ward when he was a Chief, when he was a Raider, just bodied him. So there are things to improve, obviously. In the secondary, I think is their biggest weakness defensively. But to me, the biggest thing is Brock just struggled, and it's not taking anything away from him. I think this had, a lot of people that doubt Brock Purdy. He's like, oh, he's just a system quarterback. To be like, see what happens when he doesn't have his favorite players around. Well, that happens with anybody. So I'm not ready to say Brock sucks now or anything like that. Brock's very good. He just had his first bad game, and I've been waiting for it to happen because he needs it. He needs to know that he didn't play well. He needs to know what he needs to improve on. Not that he doesn't have the mentality after loss or after wins as well, but it's good for him to learn and grow from something. Maybe he knows going forward that he doesn't have the biggest hands, and maybe he needs to wear gloves when he's in that type of weather. This is all good things for the Niners going forward. They don't need to be undefeated. I thought that should never been on the table. It's good for them to lose. They lost an AFC. They lost an AFC game to an AFC opponent. So did the Eagles. So they're right there with them. They're fine. So did the Lions actually too. Actually, no wait. Who the Lions lose to this year? Seahawks. Never mind. I thought the whole situation, while disappointing, and now you're wondering about Jake Moody. He needs to make a big kick going forward to get this whole thing off of his mind. But all in all, I'm not making a big deal out of it.
I actually am with Moody.
Oh, okay.
Not for the regular season. Like the regular season, he has a chance to come back and, do whatever. But man, when it comes down to playoffs, like that was a playoff type of game where both teams might not play all that well. The defense might force them into whatever, whatever it may be, injuries, whether it's drop passes, the defensive line getting after it. I mean, good God, Myles Garrett tossing Trent Williams aside. I've never seen that with Williams when he's been with the 49ers. That's just, I can't get over that.
Myles Garrett's a man.
What who does that? Like who does that? Myles Garrett. Yeah, I guess Myles Garrett's the answer. Yeah. But how many times was Robbie Gould relied on in the playoffs when they had those gritty types of games? Like, are they in, do they win that game in Green Bay if Robbie Gould isn't the kicker? You know what I mean? Like,
no, Jake Moody's not making those kicks at this point in his career.
That's the thing is like when it comes playoff time, I'd say that's my only concern. And then the number two thing, and this might be just way overthinking it. And I could just be saying, this because, we're doing the podcast and we think way too much about Niners football and we're just, overthinking everything. But with Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator, it wasn't just like the defensive line getting after it, but that defense also, or the offense also said we kind of knew what the 49ers were about. That defense kind of, like, I think it was Grant Delpit who said that, could kind of predict what the Niners were going to do. The Niners haven't played a Jim Schwartz team in quite a while. I think the last time they played him was when he was a defensive assistant with the Titans. And then prior to that, when he was a defensive coordinator with the Eagles. Yeah. But I do wonder, like, has someone finally given the blueprint maybe to watch film and think, ooh, this is how you could stop a Kyle Shanahan led team? Like, is there certain things that we don't even see, that we don't understand as casual fans? Are there things that maybe teams are seeing on film where they can kind of exploit it and think, ooh, the Browns were able to do that. I think we should do that too. Like if I don't know, maybe it was just the Browns being a good defense. Maybe that's just me overthinking it.
I would say this isn't the first time we've seen a Kyle Shanahan offense get shut down.
Yeah.
Now, this is the first time we've seen a Kyle Shanahan offense get shut down with Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. Yes. But then again, Purdy got hurt in the NFC Championship game. So who's to say that the Eagles don't do the same thing if Purdy stays healthy? I think there's just teams that have great pass rush and guys that could stop the run. That's going to be something that's going to be the kryptonite for the Niners going forward. But this, I hear you on Jake Moody, but I would say that they have the type of offense for the majority of the season that you don't have to worry about having those gritty wins. Now, that could change in the playoffs, but if they are the number one seed, they're having the same type of games that they had against the Vikings in Green Bay where they're just handing off to Raheem Mostert and he's just gashing them. They don't have to worry about that. But yes, that's something that you had to think about for the whole season going into it with you're going to make this rookie the kicker. Now, Adam Copeland brought this up to me. I was not aware of this. The last time the Niners had a rookie kicker was in 1994. He was Doug Bryan. And they didn't really need to rely on him because they won the Super Bowl that year and Steve Young was just automatic ridiculous in the Super Bowl. It was 7 touchdowns, not 7 field goals. They just relied on their offense to get the job done. That's the type of mentality you have to have going forward. If you're going to be in the playoffs, and you can't rely on your rookie kicker. You got to be able to put points on the board touchdown wise. So that's the only thing. That's the caveat of having a rookie kicker.
I think it could be a concern, man, because
Well,
those games in the NFC, whether it's I don't know against the Eagles, against the Lions, I think those ones. The Lions have proven to me as a 5-1 team. Like I think they're going to be there in the postseason, and I think they're actually creating this identity. I could see a lot of low scoring games, and if it comes down to Moody. God, I don't know. Like, I mean, if they're in that situation again, where they're what was it? Where were they for the field goal? Because they still had a little bit of time left. I don't know if they're going to try to be more aggressive because it looked like they were playing for the field goal at that time.
yeah, but it's a different mentality now. That
Yeah.
was with the Jimmy offense, and now this is a Brock Purdy offense, and you're hoping that they would put up more points. So who do you blame Who do you blame the loss on then? Do you
Oh,
blame it on? Do you blame it on? Whoa, hold on. Do you blame it on Purdy for not having a good game? Do you blame it on the refs with the officiating? Do you blame it on Moody for missing the kicks, or do you blame it on the injuries?
I blame it on the injuries. If I
Okay.
had to, because I think all of those factored into it. But if I had to pinpoint one, I'd say losing McCaffrey and Debo in the middle of the game. I don't count Trent Williams because he was missing for like a play, and he
Yeah, a
was
little bit of
playing.
time.
He was playing hurt, but I'd say missing those two because the offense was just totally out of rhythm. And that's not to say though that if let's just say McCaffrey can't go, that's not to say I don't think they can't dominate the Vikings because they're given a week. They understand like the week of preparation, it's all based around the players that you got, and if Shanahan's given a week where he knows that potentially Debo, potentially McCaffrey are going to be out, then he'll scheme around that. But the
Yeah.
scheme was solely based on McCaffrey and Debo being in there, and those two guys. Like I think one guy that we don't talk enough about, um, one of those can't get hurt guys is Kyle Juszczyk, because God does he motion a lot. God, I mean, more just as much as any player. Like I think at the entire first half against the Cowboys, it was just Kyle Juszczyk motion, Kyle Juszczyk motion. Then they changed it in the second half. That might have been the theme of sequential play calling with Shanahan. But that's the thing with Debo and McCaffrey. Those guys are always motioning to different positions, going all over the field, and that's hard to replicate and switch up when you're in the middle of the game. And I guess you could blame Kyle Shanahan a little bit too for not adjusting accordingly and just having Ray McCloud step in Debo's spot instead of maybe simplifying the offense.
Yeah, but it's tough to do that on the fly. But I hear you, and also like the Browns are playing the run with McCaffrey out. They're going to shut it down and make Brock Purdy have to win the game,
Yep.
and that was the right call. But Kyle put the ball in Purdy's hands, and Purdy was fumbling the ball a little bit. I'd say I blame the loss on the injuries. I think that it's a different game when McCaffrey goes out. And their offense is going to look a little different if McCaffrey's out. We'll see about the injury if he's going to play Monday. But yeah, I think it's crazy. How many teams do you think change offensively when their running back is out? It's very few. Probably like Derrick Henry and maybe McCaffrey.
Henry, I'd say the Falcons would, but I guess they do have Algiers backing up Bijan Robinson or Algiers, or how you pronounce his name.
Tyler Algier.
Not the Jags, obviously not the Chiefs. Very, very few teams.
Yeah. So the offense runs through McCaffrey now, and he, has been there almost a year now. So we'll see what happens if he doesn't play on Monday night against the Vikings. But I'm not overreacting to this loss. I think it's fine.
Do you think they should just not play McCaffrey, considering the Vikings have been flailing all season long? I think if you have Debo and Trent available, look, man, you got to preserve McCaffrey for as long as possible this season. There's no need to, keep this injury to re-aggravate this injury in a game that I think the Niners can win without him. Like, I think that's why they kept Ayuk out that second week of the season or whatever it was.
I don't know. We're not there. That's hard for me to say. I think that every game in the NFL is important. And if a guy says I'm good to go, then at that point you're like, all right, let's just do this then. Now,
Yeah.
if there's some worry that he could damage it even more, then maybe you want to rest him. But I mean, why do the Bengals tell Joe Burrow, hey, we know you got the calf strain, but let's do this? It's just because every game's important. This is why this is so different than baseball and basketball. Is just because there's only 17 of these things. So I don't know.
You know what I need, Derek? Next Monday night, we
What's
saw
that?
the Browns mimic the Niners boombox thing. They came out
Did
their
they?
own tunnel with their own boombox. Yeah, they had a player holding it because they don't have like a designated employee to actually do it. So there's a player holding the boombox. But I would just gain so much respect for the Vikings if they had a boombox and they came out to Creed higher and they're just like bouncing in the tunnel to Take Me Higher by Creed.
Held by their mascot dude with the Viking looking guy.
Yes. Yes. And you just got Kirk Cousins leading the charge. Can you take me higher?
Oh my God, Paul Allen, the voice of the Vikings, would just lose his fucking mind. Here come the Vikings! Oh,
Telling you, that'd be all time if they did that.
so who's the best team in the NFC right now, or even the NFL right now? Did anything change? We had Niners lose, Eagles lose, Lions still winning, very impressive. You have 5-1 teams. You got the Niners, Eagles, Lions, Chiefs, Dolphins. Anything change really?
No, it's still the same. I still have the Niners as the best team in football. I'd probably put the Dolphins at number 2. But number 3, man, I'm leaning Lions over Eagles.
Okay.
That's my third ranked team. What about you?
Nothing really changed for me. I think the 49ers are still the best team. I have said for most of the season that the Eagles have just been getting away with wins. This was the first time I bit him in the ass. And I'll get to that game a little bit here, but I still put. I'm not. I hate ranking, but if I had to rank it right now, I'd probably go. I'm not. I'm not putting Lions 1 like Stephen A. Smith today.
We're gonna talk
just-
about the
just
legacy of Brock
click.
Purdy after you do your
No.
power rankings, which we love.
Yeah, the short legacy of Brock Purdy. I'll go Niners 1. I'll go Chiefs 2 just because of what they've accomplished in the past. I'll go Eagles 3. Dolphins look really good on offense, but I think that's going to come. I want to see it routinely on the road and in the cold. So I'll go Lions 4, and then I'll go Dolphins 5. I still need to see them. I mean, they're great offensively, but I want to see them do it in different areas.
Okay. All right. AJ Cruz, by the way, said, Creed, you have Prince or Morris Day in the Time from Minnesota. Why not one of them? Because Kirk Cousins said that they listened to Creed higher before the game and they won. So they dedicated that win to Creed. That's why.
But I do love me some Morris Day in the Time.
Absolutely. There's
My jungle love.
If I could find
if
I could find the video
to get to know you.
Yeah, wow. If there's a video of it, I might spend my time looking for it and not listen to you for the rest of the show. But there's this amazing MTV segment where they're at some after party of the VMAs.
Who's this?
The MTV. They just got like a film crew after the VMAs, and everyone is just high off their ass in the 80s. It's great. And Morris Day, he's at the top. I got to try and find the video. If
Morris Day, the bad guy in Purple Rain.
I gotta find this. I'll find it.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do a little quick hits.
Yeah.
Did you wake up at 6:30 to watch Titans Ravens?
No, I watched the fourth quarter.
Okay.
Watched the fourth quarter.
As always, I turned it on, went to sleep, and woke up and watched the fourth quarter.
Nice.
Titans, same old, same old. They just have a very basic offense. And Brian Tannehill's hurt again. Same injury he had a year ago. He'll miss some time. Malik Willis / Will Levis time. Oof. Yeah, I still don't know why DeAndre Hopkins went there. Anyway, Lamar Jackson seems to rely mostly on Zay Flowers as a rookie, and that's not bad. Got Odell involved a little bit too, but I got to be honest. Even though they won the game, Lamar, with all the weapons he has now, looks like the same old Lamar. There's no improvement or kind of Jalen Hurts, passing season like he had a season ago. I Lamar, got the contract, and he's gonna be the guy going forward with them. But if he wants to be a pure passer, that's not his game. He likes to run a little bit. So I don't know if Lamar is ever gonna take the next level to his game.
I need to see them out of London. I just don't know if I can make any evaluation based on these games out of London. And god damn it, was I pissed that the Titans didn't cover that number. I needed that 4.5 covered because we literally talked about it on Saturday. But Malik Willis I don't know why I was high on Malik Willis in his rookie year. I get too high on these dudes. Like I see a couple of things in preseason, see them make some nice plays, but then, Malik Willis just, for whatever reason, did not go out of bounds. Did you see that play where he rolled to his left? He already got sacked like 4 times, and he goes to his left, tries to make a run for it, and then stays in bounds to let the clock go with no timeouts. What are you doing, Malik? What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, he's a young player, and
I know, but like, God, man, I needed to cover.
I know, but that, yeah. No, I feel you. Falcons need to upgrade at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder is not the guy. They could have won that game. Commandees played pretty well.
I like the Commandees better than Commanders.
Yeah. Commandees played well. But they could have easily come back in that game if they had a better quarterback. And 3 bad picks, especially the one at the end there. Good God. Where Desmond Ridder was going to get a second delay of game penalty in a row and then just threw the ball up for grabs. He looked awful. And
boy.
I think I texted you immediately where I was like, I don't know what the deal is with Kyler Murray, but I could tell you this. I think he would be a better fit with Arthur Smith than what Desmond Ridder is right now.
That just shows you where they're at, because I take Kyler for his talent all day, but I wouldn't want him as a leader for any team. But
no.
My God, if you can find a way to replace Desmond Ridder and actually get that talent, playing to its potential, then I think that absolutely would be worth it, because you cannot be losing that game to the command. Like that loss, it's on Ridder.
Yeah,
like, it's on Ridder. That's one where it's purely on the quarterback. The Commanders' offense, which is actually,
he was riddled with turnovers. So
the Riddler. But my God, the defense, like, they gave up 24 points early, but after the touchdown, when the Commanders went up 24-10, it was punt, 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 punt. Like, they gave them every chance to get back into the game, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So they absolutely need. And I'm just sad because I think they got so much talent. I think Drake London and Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts are just a great core that they could build around. And that's not even to mention their offensive line, which is actually underperformed this year, which can get better next year. I just want this team to be good. I don't know what it is. I like the Falcons.
I think they're going to be this offseason, they're going to do the Jets thing where they're going to look for a veteran quarterback to put in there.
Yeah.
Could be Kyler Murray. Could be Russell Wilson. I don't know about that one. I think Kyler Murray would fit just the way that Arthur Smith wants his quarterbacks to run. And I could see, Calais Campbell being there, Bud Dupree, Jesse Bates, all kind of like, hey, this is a humbling experience for you now. You got to, be a leader of men. So
with all that being said, they still do have a chance to make the playoffs.
Of course.
That's what's funny.
But it's clear that Desmond Ridder's not the guy.
Correct. Correct.
Unless he improves, but I was really down on him after that game. He played a poor game. I think even Arthur Smith was like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, you can't have all your coaching staff shave the beard so you all have mustaches, and Desmond Ridder goes out and plays like that. Makes him look bad.
Yeah. No, if you're going to look like Magna P.I., you got to back it up too.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals still have offensive problems, but they got the job done. Their defense, once again, like the Rams game, just getting to the quarterback over and over and over again. So, yeah, it was a defensive win. Seahawks play good defense, too. The biggest deal with the Seahawks and Bengals game was the Seahawks had 4 red zone trips in the second half and got a total of 3 points out of 4 red zone trips. Out of halftime, they were down 14-10. Geno Smith throws a pick. Then they settle for a field goal. I think it's 14-13. Then Bengals go up 17-13. They had all these opportunities, either kick field goals or score touchdowns. Pete Carroll said that he didn't regret anything. They always wanted to score touchdowns more than kick field goals. But when you have 4 red zone trips and he only equates to 3 points and you could have won the game, just like the Browns 19-17, take the win. But yeah, two times they were in the red zone with, I think, 2:45 left in the second to last drive. Geno gets sacked on 4th and goal, and then with 44 seconds left, Geno gets hit on 4th and goal and can't even get the pass off. It's like, Jesus, dude, just throw. Like, I don't know, like this whole going forward on 4th down thing. I like the aggressiveness sometimes, but if it means you're going to lose the game, then shit.
Yeah. I look at this game and I give credit to the Seahawks secondary holding Joe Burrow to just 185 yards passing. It's either the offense. See, this is kind of the conversation I eventually want to get to, but like when the conversation shifts from, oh, this offense had a bad game to actually, no, the defense kind of forced them into having a bad game. It's a good offense, but that defense, it was just overall. I think that Seahawks defense is damn good. The only problem is it's the offense. And it's like you mentioned, dude, that the 4th down plays with Geno, some of them didn't really make sense. It didn't seem like there was much open. And DK Metcalf, you got to get that guy open in the end zone somehow. If you get that many red zone trips and you have a guy like DK Metcalf on your team, how he's not getting the ball every single time when you're there. I'm not going to act like I remember every single red zone opportunity that they have. But that could have changed the outcome of the game. And that one, I also had a writing a little bit on it because that was one of my underdogs of the week.
I know.
For 2 points, had a chance to win, and they didn't.
Yeah, or even Noah Fant.
Oh, God!
Throw a lob to him in the end zone. Now you don't want to get picked off, but yeah, bad showing by the Seahawks offense.
Yeah, Geno Smith, that he turned back into Geno Thanks.
Yeah,
that was what we called him when he was with the Jets. Geno Thanks.
Texans look pretty good. Called that one. Speaking of upsets, CJ Stroud threw his first pick, but it was immediately fumbled back to the Saints. Derek struggled a little bit. His favorite guy is Rashid Shaheed. There's nobody else on that team that he kind of relies on. It feels like every week he's just throwing touchdowns to Rashid Shaheed. But Texans are playing pretty good defense and pretty good offense, and they got something going here.
Texans are damn good, man.
Yeah,
and that's actually going to play into the overreactions, which we'll have at the end here.
Okay, then I'll get to that.
But we will at the end. But I also want to mention, like, this is the time when Carr is supposed to be thriving. Like, this is when October. This is when he plays his best football. What's Carr going to look like in December? And we said it before the season, like he was going to look like an MVP from September all the way through Thanksgiving. But post Thanksgiving, when the games get to December, January, games get a little colder, has to travel on the road, play outdoors. Doesn't look that good. And right now, Carr, he threw for 353 yards. So there's only so much you could say about it, but still it translated to just 13 points. Are those yards just empty yards or what?
And his rookie kicker did not help him out. Groupie with a couple of poopies, missing a couple of field goals. Jags look like the best team in the AFC South. Sounds like Anthony Richardson's going to be done for the season with that shoulder injury. You see him show up to a fan's house just to say hi. It was his birthday.
No.
Oh, it's a great video. This guy's girlfriend managed to find Anthony Richardson. He just showed up to his house. He's like, "Hey, I'm here for your birthday." He's like in the sling and everything. He's like, "Oh, what a nice guy."
Wow.
But it sounds like he's gonna be done for the year, which means like the Colts could struggle a little bit. I thought Gardner Minshew would have like a little bit of revenge on the Jaguars, but he struggled big time. And then we don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to play this Thursday night game against the Saints, but they look like the best team in the South, hands down.
They do. They got so much depth just everywhere on offense. Like, obviously Lawrence, but then Travis Etienne and Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Calvin Ridley. Like, they dispersed the ball to 5 different receivers, all with at least 2 receptions, and they got 181 yards out of it. And Lawrence didn't even have nearly his best game, and they still put up 37 points. I think it's a damn good team that you're seeing right there.
Speaking of damn good offenses, Dolphins look like the team that has figured out things offensively the most. Week in and week out, down 14-0, just come back and score 42. Raheem Mostert, like Jesus, on a record pace for touchdowns. Tyreek Hill too, with every week. By the way, were you serious when you said that was the best celebration of all time?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Good God, you take that too literally.
I was like, God, it's okay. It's a nice TikTok moment, but like compared to like everything that Chad Johnson did and Terrell Owens and Joe Horn, even like, get out of here.
Well, it's quite the athletic achievement, though, to do a backflip standing as you're taking a selfie.
No question, but
really damn creative.
Yeah, but not the best celebration of all time.
Well, I mean, like, okay, I do admit I texted you and I said best celebration ever. I didn't mean ever. I was just saying it's a figure of speech.
Okay, right? Sometimes I can tell with you. And
no,
you did preface the text by saying, I do hate Tyreek Hill.
Yes. I feel slimy watching him. But I just, that Dolphins offense just continues to click. Look, I'm going to die on this hill, and there's nothing that anybody could tell me.
Tyreek Hill?
Because it's way past the time that he was with the 49ers, but I'm going to continue to say that I think Raheem Mostert was underappreciated when he was with San Francisco. I think by the fan base and by his coaches as well.
Well,
he got hurt a lot. He got hurt a lot.
And I believe the sentiment was when he decided to get surgery to knock him out the whole season against the Lions week 1, 2021. They were like, that's the end of Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, absolutely. And gee, what the hell?
Yeah, right.
Sorry, my cat's making weird. What are you? You all right?
Your cat didn't eat the hot sauce, did it?
I hope not. She definitely dropped dead in the middle of the living room if that happened. 100%.
Oh, Phoebe can handle it. Come on.
Yeah, but it just, and I'm not speaking directly to you, AJ Cruz. Not true. I appreciated him. It's just, I'm speaking more because I'm not speaking directly to you. But when I was doing the show, the pregame show from 5 to 6, Monday through Friday. Check out Spadoni, 95.7. When I was doing the pregame show on the text line, I'd get a lot of, he's just interchangeable. Just, you could plug and play anybody in this offense and they can, I'm like, no, not with Mostert, not with the speed that he has. Like within a McDaniels system, because McDaniels was the run game coordinator at the time when Mostert was doing his thing with the Niners. Like he understands where the hole is going to be. And he just runs straight through it, man. He, with no hesitation, as soon as he gets the ball, makes the snap decision, knows what he's going to do with it. And he knows that there's going to be a lane somewhere, and it might not happen every play, but he's so speedy that at some point they are going to get some sort of open lane for him, and he's just going to run right through it. I think Raheem Mostert's a baller.
Oh, the Mosterani, baby. Lions. Yeah. Lions really impressive. They might be the third best team in the NFC. I think they're better than Dallas at this time.
Yeah,
but they play really good defense. God, the combination of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, that's gonna be something.
Yeah,
and when Jahmyr Gibbs figures it out and they use him in the passing game, that's gonna be really impressive. So they got a good thing going defensively, and I think they're gonna start scoring a lot of points. So
can I
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, I don't think it's even close. Anyone that was skeptical about them winning the NFC North, knock on wood, everything goes right, they should wrap up that division pretty soon.
They are very similar to the 49ers, at least with their wide receivers, in that they take pride in their blocking. I want to play the touchdown from Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, God, yeah.
And this block from Craig Reynolds, if any of the listeners, I'm sorry to any that are listening right now through the podcast because you can't see what we're talking about. You'll be able to hear the audio. But for anyone that's watching, watch, what is he, number 8? So he's in
number 13.
13. All right. Yeah. All right. So anyone
Craig Reynolds or Josh Reynolds?
Isn't it Craig Reynolds? I think it's Craig Reynolds who makes the block.
Craig Reynolds is the running back. Josh Reynolds is the wide receiver.
Sorry, it's Josh Reynolds then.
Okay,
Wrong
8.
Reynolds. No competition of Frank Reynolds of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But here, just watch the block from Reynolds. Anyone watching this will see the block.
St. Brown has it. Needs to get to the 14-yard line, and he will.
Oh, that is Craig Reynolds.
Craig Reynolds through the big block.
Come on, man.
Smash that dude.
That's the type of thing. That's where they're that team wins like with everything. With they're in the trenches, their wide receivers. Their run game still needs to get going a little bit because David Montgomery, I think he's hurt for next week too.
Yeah,
a big blow. But they got a complete team, man. And then their defense. Look, I know it's the Buccaneers, but they still held the Buccaneers to 6 points.
Yep.
So, and the Buccaneers have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and Baker Mayfield's actually been playing okay, and the defense just lit them up on the road. Yep. I think they're real. For real.
Faux real. Eagles finally lose their first game. And I thought this was a game that they really struggled offensively. The opening drive touchdown where the 4th and goal and they go for the QB sneak and it looked like Jalen Hurts didn't get it, but he stretched the ball out and got it. Just weird. I don't think Jalen Hurts is playing very well this season. That's part of the reason why I'm not really buying them yet. He's got 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. I don't know why he forced that ball in on the last pick.
Yeah.
And just didn't run for that first down.
That might have been one of the worst plays of his career. Right there.
Where he just dug his feet into the ground and just
threw it into double coverage. That's just your classic quarterback's rattled, doesn't know what to do with it, tries to force something instead of making a smart play.
Yeah. And I thought, a little more creativity with the offense. Like this, I know everybody likes the tush push and the brotherly shove, but do you have to do it every play? Can't you just run like something different? Obviously, it's very effective, but I would love to see like more versatility in the offense. And today they signed Julio Jones, which is interesting. I don't know if he can play anymore. Defensively, it was their best game. Getting to the quarterback, they didn't have Jalen Carter, they didn't have Darius Slay, but they still got to Zach Wilson a lot. Hassan Reddick's on a little bit more. You know who we haven't mentioned a lot this year from the Eagles too? Nolan Smith. He was drafted in this first round. I haven't seen him do anything. So kind of like we're harping on Tyree Wilson with the Raiders, but there's a lot of guys defensively, rookies that aren't doing a lot.
Yeah, well, I was caffeinated. I was on a tirade. I was just like watching film and just sending because there's very limited snaps with Tyree Wilson and just the get off from the line of scrimmage is just so frustrating. It's just sitting still. I compare it to when I would catch in Little League. Wasn't a catcher. I normally play outfield, but when they had me catch, I'd try to frame. And after every pitch, there'd be like a 3-second delay.
Yeah.
And I was like the anti-Patrick Bailey. I'd like catch it, then 3 seconds later, try to put it to the middle. That's what Tyree Wilson is off the snap. Just sits there. 2 seconds later. Oh, now I should probably get going. And with the Eagles, I didn't watch a ton of this game. Obviously saw it in the final drive with what Hurts did and saw that interception. But when I look back at it, I think the thing that the Jets did that really won them the game was stopping the run. The Eagles have been a damn good running football team with DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell. DeAndre Swift has kind of been just a bright light in what's otherwise a kind of dismal season for the offense. So I think that I think that's what the key was. It wasn't just the 3 interceptions, but holding DeAndre Swift 10 carries to 18 yards.
Yeah, the Jets didn't do anything offensively. They probably would not have done anything if it wasn't for the interceptions, but this Jets defense is legit. And every time I watch them, a great win by them. Zach Wilson didn't do anything to turn the ball over or put them in jeopardy. But every time I watch them, I'm like, God damn. And Saleh was right. Like, he doesn't need to have that comment come back or kind of bring that back a little bit on him saying that we've embarrassed Hall of Fame quarterbacks every week so far. They have. Week 1, 3 picks on Josh Allen. Dak Prescott didn't do much, but didn't really need to in that game. Mac Jones, whatever. Patrick Mahomes, he threw 2 picks against him. And then Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson struggles against everybody these days, but he didn't play well against them. So Every time I watch this Jets team, I'm like, God damn, how sweet would it would have been if Rodgers was healthy. And you see Rodgers on the sideline throwing passes without a cane or crutches. I don't know, Steven. You can work his voodoo magic to play this season? I don't know. It seems damn near impossible, but shit.
It could, but I'm not totally buying it. Although I might be swayed in saying that the Jets are actually a playoff team now because that defense has been just elite this year. I think
they're
dead wrong on that.
Yeah.
But also I think I don't know. It was overblown with Rodgers throwing the football. Hey, how about you kick it? Kick the football, then I'd be impressed.
Well, that's the thing. He was throwing passes, but he wasn't moving.
He wasn't moving. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
What are we doing here?
And with the way that Jets offensive line is right now, they lost Elijah Vera Tucker for the season, and Dwayne Brown's been out for a couple weeks. We sure Rodgers would be able to move around and like not get hit regardless. Like Zach Wilson's a tough guy taking all those hits. This offensive line may have been a ticking time bomb.
I think that is a cause for concern. And then also I thought about this with the Eagles tush push as well. There's got to come a time in the playoffs if they make the playoffs. Who knows what could happen? They should make the playoffs, but I don't know. You never know, Derek. This is football season. It's only week 6.
True.
But I want to see a fake tush push. We need to see one fake. I think that's going to come in the playoffs. I think they're going to do it all season long. 98%. That's why the new Heights show calls their crowd the 98 percenters, because that tush push works 98% of the time. Fun fact for any of you that didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. But I think they need to run a fake play at some point in the playoffs.
Dude, they had one ready to go against the Bucks, and Jalen Hurts fell down.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm waiting for that, where they're all lined up and they play action fake to like a tight end that's back there, and then Dwayne, like you didn't even see it. AJ Brown or Julio Jones or Devontae Smith was like lined up somewhere weird. You didn't even see him, and he's wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Just a little more creativity with the offense.
Mm-hmm. And then also that tush push, it's not going to go away because only the Eagles seem to execute it to perfection with no other team doing that. If every other team was doing it and it was kind of like a cheat code, then I think the NFL would consider maybe trying to rule that play out. But considering it's only the Eagles that can actually do it at the success that they do it, that play's not going anywhere.
Real quick, the Giants played a very good game defensively. I think Brian Dable, knowing Josh Allen and what he likes and what he doesn't like, really helped in that game, where Wink Martindale could figure it out defensively, and they just played a great game. Bills did enough to win the game in the end. Should they have been penalized for PI in the end? Probably, but you're not getting that call 2 times in a row, in my opinion. So Bills did enough to win the game, but they're struggling. And real quick, just to kind of have this all come together, because we're talking about struggling offenses, and you wanted to bring this up, Steven. The Chargers and the Cowboys. Cowboys played really well. Dak Prescott on the fake for 4th and 1 to get that touchdown was impressive. CeeDee Lamb had a great game. Tony Pollard with that great catch and run. They got back together defensively, and it looked like initially the Chargers were going to run the same type of offense that worked with the 49ers against the Cowboys. But the Cowboys shut it down. They pressured Justin Herbert. But Herbert, while the Cowboys played really good defensively, Herbert looked off, and he looks not very good. He missed a wide open Keenan Allen. He got pressured and threw that pick on Stephon Gilmore. They only scored thanks to that muffed punt by Tolbert. But I'm not really impressed with Justin Herbert this season. And I think Tua's played a hell of a lot better. I think Tua's outplayed Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert this year. And I don't know if it's the offense. I don't know if it's just, he's not used to what Kellen Moore wants to do. Same thing with Josh Allen. I think both of those guys have immense talent, but the offense they put out, like it's weird. Like I've seen the Bills and Chargers in years past explode offensively and put up 40 points. And now it seems like they're just so tentatively off, like offense, like they don't know what to do offensively. Like it's it's just like a weird thing. Like, can we run the ball? Okay, we're not going to run the ball, so we have to pass a shit ton. And this goes to a bigger conversation that you wanted to have, Steven, where are we really crediting good defense in the NFL, or are we just so focused on the offensive inability? Because so far it seems like the Dolphins are the only team to really score consistently each week. And the Niners did for the majority of the season, and then last week happened. But it seems to me kind of like of a recap of a season ago. I don't know if we're getting good defense. We are for the most part, but there's also kind of a kind of a lull going on with offensive football right now.
Yeah, that's really what I wanted to get, because it just it seems to be a common theme through this season. Like, think about the breakdowns that we just did. The Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles,
Yep.
all struggling on offense so far this season. I think the Niners and the Dolphins are an exception, and I think the Lions are an exception as well. But I just wonder, like, is it really that these offenses have regressed, or have defenses just improved within a league that's actually catered to the offense? And I'm kind of struggling with how to have that sort of conversation, or how to break down a game in that fashion, because really, I think the other reason that we evaluate it that way is because, well, we know a lot more what's going on offense than we do on defense. We don't understand assignments on defense as much as we do offensively. It's like, offense, all right, you got the outside of the offensive line, you get the wide receivers running this route and this route. He has an option here, an option there. This guy's meant to motion here, whatever. But you kind of you kind of understand it. With the defense, we don't. And I think that sometimes we just hyper focus on the offense, and we just don't give the defense credit. And maybe this week we can look at the offenses and say, yeah, it was the offensive problem. They still haven't got going yet. But are there any of these games where it's like, you know what, they just got stopped by a good defense, and the defense just had a better day? I think that's just where I wonder if we're ever going to shift the conversation from the offense to the defense, or it's just going to continue to be, yeah, we use the offense as like the barometer, the baseline for when we talk about a game.
That's always going to be the case because we're so starstruck, and with football, I think when guys, top dollar quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts don't perform well, it's like, well, what's wrong with these guys? No one wants to put the X's and O's tape on and learn exactly what's going on in football. It's just the first take reaction to things. But I will say that I think routinely or consistently this season, it's been that the offenses have kind of puttered out as opposed to, them, playing very well. I think it's more so that offenses are finding a groove. And I think that the Chargers and Bills and Eagles are all just kind of, it happens here or there. They flash. You see Stephon Diggs go for a long touchdown, or A.J. Brown go for one, or whatever with the Chargers, but it just doesn't look right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's not as bad as it was a season ago, because I remember it being really bad football for the first 6 weeks of the season. But I think it's kind of like teams are still figuring it out a little bit, and that's interesting with how much practice we get in training camp. But guys aren't putting the pads on as much as they used to. I don't know if guys are ready for the season as well as they were in the past.
Right. And God, man, and this all really goes back to Justin Herbert. That's kind of where this conversation started. I don't know what's up with him. I don't know if it's a Kellen Moore thing. I don't know if it's a thing with his finger. I don't know if maybe just the wide receivers aren't getting open as much as they need to. But in that game,
No, they are.
He missed a bunch of open receivers.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is with Herbert right now.
He just looks lost. I don't know. Like I've said that even when he had his great game against the Vikings, he could have thrown that pick at the end there that was bobbled up and caught for the touchdown by Josh Palmer. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of, learning a new offense with Kellen Moore. But I thought this was going to be with Kellen Moore. I thought they were just going to rip it and he's going to have like an MVP season. I picked him to win the division. I picked him to win MVP. Right. And I know Mike Williams isn't there, but Quentin Johnston hasn't done much. He's still learning. He's a rookie. I don't know, man. It just looks a little off right now, and I think that's the majority of the NFL right now offensively.
Yeah, and maybe they're just trying to get their footing under them. I'm looking it up right now, like the comparison compared to last year. I don't know how much you've taken stats into account, but compared to last year, through 5 games, had a 66 completion percentage, 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now he's had 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's thrown for 1,300 yards, and he's actually had a better passer rating through the first 5 games than he did through the first 5 games last year. But how much do we but how much can we really take the stats into account? I think that's where we find that maybe the stats aren't telling the full story.
No, they're not. They're not. He doesn't look right. And honestly, right now, who do you think is playing the best football right now as far as quarterback? Is it Tua and Brock Purdy? Think about it. Mahomes has thrown a couple of interceptions. Mahomes is still great. He's the best quarterback in football, but does he look like an MVP right now? Maybe he doesn't have to because the defense is playing well. Josh Allen, I don't know right now. Looks a little off. Jalen Hurts, obviously, 7 touchdowns, 7 picks. Right now, like Kirk Cousins is leading most. Well, he was, but not anymore. I think right now the best looking quarterback in football is Tua.
I think Tua's right up there. I think Brock's right up there. I actually think Matthew Stafford's up there too. I think Stafford's looked pretty good this season. Funnily
Jared
enough,
Goff. We don't talk enough about Jared Goff.
We don't talk enough about Jared Goff either. Yeah, but it seems like, if you had to give me the top 5 quarterbacks through those 6 weeks, yeah, it'd probably be those guys.
We don't talk enough about Jared Goff.
Not your best.
I try.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I've had this plate of rotisserie chicken just shredded in front of me, and I've just been picking at it little by little through the podcast.
I can't even see that on the camera, Steven, so how would I know that?
I know. Well, I don't know. I've just been muting it, but I don't know if you've, I just got this,
hey,
a little bit of chicken.
Have yourself a little snack. By the way, here, I'm watching Albert Pujols on a post-game show here. I could say this. Sometimes, dude, you just got to let the whole thing go. Don't have the sides. Don't have the George Costanza. He looks bad. Just shave the whole thing, dude. Yeah.
You're talking about my man Albert like that. Come on.
Hey, I big fan of Albert Pujols, but if you're gonna go bald, shave the whole damn thing. It doesn't look good with the cul-de-sac on the side.
Doesn't help when he's like sitting next to guys who have these perfectly groomed heads of hair.
Who, Pedro Martinez?
I guess so.
We should. You need Albert Pujols on the Greg Amsinger. Now, when I see Albert Pujols, I see a shaved head. Yeah, you like that?
I think when I think St. Louis, number 1, I think of Nelly. Then you, number 2.
Yeah.
That okay? That okay with you? Does that sit well with you, Albert?
I mean, no disrespect. I got to bump me some country grammar, but when I'm not in Nellyville, I'm thinking of Albert. Overreactions?
Overreaction. We could do overreactions, or we could scrap it. These ones aren't that great this week.
Let me hear it.
Okay.
I'll be the judge.
Donovan McNabb said A.J. Brown is acting the same exact way as Terrell Owens did when Owens was with the Eagles. Is that an overreaction or an
overreaction? No one is doing sit-ups in the driveway. No one is saying that we'd be better off with Brett Favre. No, not even close. Sorry, Donovan.
I'd say it's a total overreaction, though. There's some similarities there with him and T.O. Like A.J. Brown is starting to turn to that receiver who kind of understands how good he is, and
but
it's entering that age.
No one's insinuating that someone's been throwing up in the huddle and taking plays off. No, I remember the whole T.O. saga. A.J. Brown's not even close to that.
Did not know we were going to end with the Chargers, so this one's kind of moot, but I don't know. Justin Herbert's career is being ruined by the Los Angeles Chargers. Ruined, I tell you.
Not overreaction because he's getting paid and he's having a good life there, but I'll say this. Is this an overreaction? I'll throw it back to you.
All right.
Josh Allen and Justin Herbert won't win Super Bowls if they stay with their defensive head coaches.
No, I don't think that's an overreaction. I don't think it's an overreaction.
I think about that all the time, and I think Sean McDermott's a fine coach, but I don't know if he's a great coach. And I know just watching that game, the whole time I was thinking, God, Josh Allen misses Brian Daboll. He needs a guy like that. And I think Justin Herbert needs a guy like that.
Well, we'll find out this year again, but is it going to be, a Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan showdown in the Super Bowl? Or are we going to get another, Andy Reid, maybe even, I don't know, Robert Saleh type, where it's like these teams with the defenses have their, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Do you have any more?
When they specialize in that. Yeah. And then Houston Texans, they'll be a front runner in the AFC for the playoffs, not this year, next year. We'll be talking about them as front runners among the teams with the Bengals, we'll talk with the Bills, with the Jags. Houston Texans are going to be mentioned in that.
I'll say they're a front runner for the AFC South, but the whole AFC, I'm not ready to go there yet. I'd say that's an overreaction.
I think they'll be. I think they'll actually be in that conversation next year. I think they're building something real nice.
All right, okay, all right. I see you.
D'Amico Ryans and Bobby Slowick.
That's it. All the reactions.
That's all I got for overreaction.
All right, real quick. Steven's not going to be here on Saturday. We're going to Portland.
Portland, yep.
Nice. Have fun. Wear a coat. I learned that the hard way.
But you not bring a coat to Oregon?
Went straight from Florida to Portland. Didn't think ahead.
Jesus, Derek.
I was visiting my mom, then went to go to a bachelor party in Portland. I told you the story already. Got sick. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So we got to pick Thursday Night Football real quick.
What do we got?
It's Jags Saints. And this is straight, just I guess a pick 'em at this point. Don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to play. He's dealing with the knee injury, but there's hope that he may play. But at this point, Saints are favored by 1, and the over/under is 40.
Just because, even if Trevor Lawrence is actually playing, I mean, the fact that he's questionable leading to Thursday night, short week, not very favorable. I'll take the Saints to win, and I'll take the under. I just don't trust the Saints offense to even put up that many points either. It's a weird game, but I'll take the Saints in the under.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. I think especially if it's a CJ Beathard playing for the Jaguars. Before we get out of here,
there's a couple of things. One thing real quick. I found that video of Morris Day and the Time from MTV News, so we'll close out the podcast with that. So stick around for what we're about to play, but stay for the Morris Day and the Time, him being high as a kite after an MTV VMA award show.
Okay. And a week from tonight, then I'll start caring about basketball, Steven.
Okay.
It happens, baby. Warriors.
All right. No, now you're in.
Well, yeah. I'm in for opening night, and then I'm like, all right, playing tournament, all that shit. I'll see you when football's over and the trade deadline. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We should actually probably do the podcast next Wednesday because I think a lot of people will be caring about the Warriors opening night.
True.
All right. So stick around for that. Saturday, Alon's gonna fill in. Steven's gonna be out of town in Portland, and we'll be back on Wednesday to recap the games and the Warriors game. Before we get to Morris Day and the Time, do you have Trevor May's audio?
That I do.
All right. This is incredible. I've never seen someone retire on Twitch or eviscerate an owner when he retires. Trevor May, A's pitcher.
And I just want to know, now that it's official, to the A's organization and every single person part of it, I love all of you. Every single one of you, except for one guy. We all know who that guy is.
Took a sweet time, didn't he? Took a sweet time. Jeez.
I tried to get a sell shirt. It didn't get here fast enough. Sell it, man. Let someone who actually takes pride in the things they own something. There's actually people who give a shit about the game. Let them do it. Take mommy and daddy's money somewhere else. Dork.
No.
And also, if you're gonna just be a greedy fuck, own it. There's nothing weaker than being afraid of cameras. So that's one thing I really struggled with this year, was not just eviscerating that guy. Do what you're gonna do, bro. You're whatever. You're a billionaire. They exist. You guys have all this power. You shouldn't have any because you haven't earned any of it. But anyway, whatever. It is what it is. Reality is you got handed everything you have, and now you're too soft to sit and stand in front or take any responsibility for anything you're doing. Yeah, whatever. Oakland is Oakland. You can make all the cases. Oh, it's not a great city. Blah, 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 blah. But you're putting hundreds, if not thousands, of people out of work that have worked somewhere for decades, and you haven't acknowledged that at all. So
All right.
Just be better. That's all we're asking. Just be a human being.
Oh,
Very well said, Trevor. Very well said. The part, though, and Tom Tolbert even mentioned this today, where he goes, it was very hard for me not to eviscerate this guy. It's not hard when they're paying you, so that's why you're not going to say anything. But at the same time, I really appreciate everything he said, especially calling him a dork. You don't see dork used as much as it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to bring back dork into the American lexicon.
I know. It hasn't really been popular since Pulp Fiction. What do these guys look like? A couple of dorks. Look like dorks.
Damn, that's cool. Now I want to be a dork.
All right, Morris Day.
No, I will hang on. I want to react a little bit to this Trevor May thing.
Okay.
Makes you wonder just how much players internalize whenever they're frustrated with their organization. Like, I'd love to know, for example, what Brandon Crawford thought of the new regime as he's heading out with this new regime with the Giants, for example. I'd love to hear what he'd have to say, his honest, candid thoughts, which we'll never get, but it just makes you think, man.
He came on with us the day after the last game of the season, and not going to put words in his mouth, but Tom and Adam asked him, what does this team need? And he kind of beat around the bush a little bit, and then he goes, just consistency. Like to know if I'm going to play each day.
Right.
Like to know, like to have more than just 2 starting pitchers.
Right.
That's as honest as he got. But to me, it sounded like he did not like the way Farhan ran things.
But it just makes you think, man. Like that's just one example. Like, how many athletes out there just have this stuff that they just want to unleash to the world, but can't because they're under contract and employed by the team.
Well, I can't wait for Stephen Vogt to be introduced as Giants manager and then say, fuck John Fisher.
Dude, and Trevor May speaking for, I think, a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, John Fisher could have made this a whole lot easier if he just answered some questions. If he just fielded some questions with the media. Like,
nope, just B-roll. Just B-roll for all of you.
Like, seriously, until it's like, we got an interview with John Fisher for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Great. A fluff piece for him acting, or him trying to validate what he did with the A's organization for the past few years and, creating hope for Vegas. Whereas, like, I don't know, Jed York, all these other owners, they all speak at some point. I'm not saying they have to be with the media at all times, but they at least speak at some points in time. And he's just nowhere to be found. If he just answered any questions ever through this time, I think, I mean, obviously we wouldn't be taking this well, but I think it'd be a lot easier to handle if we actually knew from a place of where Fisher was coming from other than greed.
Yeah, I think it's telling. I think when someone does something like this and doesn't want to respond, there's probably a little guilt involved. Maybe he sleeps well at night, but whatever. Trevor May said everything that I feel.
Yeah. And I think he spoke for a lot of just fans and, I mean, we've had former players speak out before. Like Chris Bassett went on that Foul Territory TV podcast and, said that we're still in a group text and we still talk about those days. Like, what would happen if they actually trusted us and paid us and added maybe a free agent or two that would have put us over the top.
That's what I would love to hear, is just the A's former players just speak candidly about this whole regime.
Honestly, man, you're going to. Like, at some point, that's going to happen. Maybe not now, maybe not 10 years from now, but in the age where we feel like everything needs a documentary, everything needs a 30 for 30. I don't really need one with like the Warriors. We get that a lot in the Bay Area. I don't need one. I watched that in real time. There's not anything outside of maybe that 2018 championship where, David West said whatever he said in the locker room about, we went through some stuff this year. We went through a lot.
The Egyptians, man, you can't take it away from us. We're buried with it.
You have no idea what we went through. Terrifying. Shout out to David West. I missed that guy. But anyway,
a lot of things, man.
But he was sick. But there's going to be something about this where A's players are just dead honest with everything that happened, and they're going to bring them up. It's going to be great, but I don't know when that's going to be. But but I think we should let's just earmark this podcast. Let's save episode 172 or whatever this is, and just go back. And this is the time on Just Your Opinion, man, when Steven and Derek predicted that there'd be a documentary made about this team, this organization.
It'll play on Ace Cast.
Hell
Get it done, Cody.
Hell yeah.
By the way, David West, I remember him saying that after the Warriors won their championship and made a truth machine that was a little out of bounds, where I suggested where David West goes, a lot of things happen, man. A lot of things happen on this team that no one knows about. I think I insinuated that Ron Adams had an affair with Swaggy P's girlfriend, Iggy Azalea, and that was the big thing that came out. It was a joke, but it wasn't taken very well.
Jesus Christ, man. You treated that damn station as your own personal YouTube.
Yeah, I know. But I remember Greg Abonte looking at me like, ooh, that was a choice, huh?
This is the team that Oh, that's so bad.
Yeah, that was bold. Anyway, Morris Day?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so because we brought up Morris Day in the time earlier, talking about Minnesota, Creed, higher with next Monday night, I think the Vikings should absolutely come out with the boombox playing Creed, Take Me Higher. But Morris Day in the time was brought up. Shout out to AJ Cruz, and that jogged my memory of this MTV segment where they went to the VMAs backstage after the awards, and everyone was high as a kite. But Morris Day, number one, and thankfully I found this on the YouTubes. Just a 13-second clip, not too long. This is Morris Day being interviewed backstage at the 1998 MTV Awards.
What'd you think of tonight's show?
It was fun.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a great time.
Your favorite part?
When I came up on the stage.
Okay.
Hold on, can you just play that laugh again?
Hang on, dude. Hang on.
What'd you think of tonight's
Look at his reaction.
show?
He's high.
The light getting into his face.
What'd you think of tonight's show?
And then we go.
You killing my buzz.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a great time.
Your favorite part?
When I came up on the stage.
What the hell's that laugh?
I don't know what I'm playing right now. I don't mean to play that. Anyway, okay, whatever. We're going too deep into this YouTube rabbit hole. Anyway.
The only thing that was missing was like old school MTV News, where it's like, I'm Kurt Loder, and I got Morris Day in the time here, and they're high as a kite.
Yeah.
Kurt Loder.
Just highly recommend. I think it was a video. It was posted to Reddit, and I watched it a long time ago. But there's like 9 minutes of just all of that, just stars from the '80s, just super loaded on whatever, God knows what from that time. I mean, we all know the drug of choice in the '80s was cocaine, so probably cocaine was involved. But
Every rock and roll was rock and roll.
Agreed. And nowadays you ever seen this new rapper, Ice Spice?
Yeah, she's on the Dunkin' Donuts commercials.
Correct. Now she's she says she's not a lyricist. She just tries to make music that sounds good, even though the music does not sound very good. Derek, I'm officially out of touch with the younger generation in terms of music. Normally I've been able to keep up with it. You know me. I've been kept up with the.
You try to stay young.
I try to with what's hip, but now that Ice Spice is kind of taken over and all these other guys that, have these acronyms for names and like, NBA Youngboy and all that, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Wait, I'm sorry. That's somebody's name?
NBA Youngboy. Yeah.
The word NBA is in his name?
Yeah.
Is that trademark infringement?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, seriously. If I was
I was Adam Silver. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was Adam Silver, I'd be like, you can't have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Settle sort of like the National Lacrosse League or something. You can't have fucking NBA in your name.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I've actually felt out of touch with the youth for quite some time. Actually, I was going to tell this. I came home on BART
with the youth,
and I was walking in the tunnel of 19th Street BART station, and these fucking kids come by me, and they're like, "Good evening, sir," like all of them in a row, and I'm like, fucking God, I'm about to kick all your asses. Jeez.
Sounds like they were just saying hi. I think that's a
No,
you
they were
problem.
they were
That's
they
a
were
you-
they were they were they were trying to be smart. They were trying to pull something over on me.
They were trying to bait you,
Yeah.
maybe into getting on a TikTok.
No. It was a real Joker moment.
What do you mean Joker moment? What do you mean?
When he's on the train, those guys are they're messing with him, and then Joker kills them all. Got a little dark there, actually.
Jesus, Derek.
I'm just saying. I was like, oh, you fucking young punks.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I don't understand. Like the Birkenstocks, every kid wears them. Crocs are everywhere. Their hair is like the new style with hair. I mean, I'm not gonna act like I mean, I was just all I did was a buzz cut back in the day, which is what a lot of people did. But now the hair's back in like the '90s fashion with like mops on top of the head. Don't look right.
These damn kids, man.
These damn kids, man. These youths. It's
The
unreal.
Utes. The Utes. Or maybe we're just old fucks now.
Maybe. It's just a lot of them haven't seen the original Hocus Pocus in their life, and it shows.
And on that note, thanks to everybody for stopping by today. All the Ernies, Otis Bird, AJ Cruz, Skills. He left earlier, but thanks for stopping by, guys. And I'll be back on Saturday with Alon. We'll preview the games, and then Steven will be back on Wednesday. We'll break down the Niner game. We'll break down the Raider game, all of the Week 7 games. Plus, we'll have some NBA to talk about with the Warriors starting up on Tuesday, and then we'll make our predictions for the season.
Oh,
of the
boy.
NBA. Until then, thanks, everybody. Steven, say what you always say.
It's just our opinion, man.